screaming and suffering. I'm leaving nothing on to tell me why. You come alone, letting all of us savor the moment, leaving me broken another time.
Oh boy, another uncensored pay-per-view from WCW. Throughout the Reliving the War timeline, the uncensored shows have been consistently amongst the worst from either company. So let's see if they can turn it around with this one. My hopes are not high though. Around 5,000 fans attended this show inside the American Airlines Arena in Miami, Florida, with an estimated 60,000 people watching on pay-per-view. That's an incredibly scary low number for WCW, seeing as last year's Uncensored drew an estimated 325,000 pay-per-view buys. This is what we call a complete and utter downfall. Our main event this evening sees the now infamous Yapapi Strap Match between Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair, as well as Sid Vicious defending his world title against Jeff Jarrett. Before the show kicks off, we see Ric Flair and Lex Luger arriving to the arena, with Luger screaming that they're both the best. Not sure if he's trying to convince us or himself. And we also see Hogan and Sid having a chat backstage. Sid tells Hogan to watch his back tonight because Ric Flair can't be trusted. Yeah, I think after wrestling him about 500 times on WCW television, Hogan already knows that Flair's a little bit dodgy. Double J tells the Harris brothers that there's going to be a few surprises tonight before we cut to a shot of a limousine in the parking lot. If it's not mystery doors, it's mystery limousines. Our opening match sees the Cruiserweight Championship being defended as the artist puts the gold on the line against Psychosis. So let's get Uncensored 2000 underway. Pray for mercy. The champion's out first, accompanied by Paisley with what appears to be a custom Cruiserweight Championship belt. Psychosis has a Paisley of his own, his old Juventud accompanies the challenger down to the ring. And just as the lads are about to hook it up, we hear some unfamiliar music over the PA. We cut to the entranceway to see Chris Candido making his way down the ramp. Candido seems to be the newest face of the WCW Cruiserweight division, and he makes his intentions clear when he joins the commentary team. Well, only after Madden fixes Chris's headset so we can actually hear what he's saying. Look at Madden being useful for once. Well done, Mark. Candido says he intends to become Cruiserweight Champion as the action finally gets started inside the ring. Psychosis takes the early advantage with a Hurricane Rana before sending the artist over the top rope to the outside with a clothesline. Our mental friend then jumps from the top rope to the floor, crashing into the champion with a crossbody. The artist is able to turn the tide as the challenger gets hung up in the Tree of Woe before taking a running knee to the midsection. He follows up with a standing sidekick for a 2 count as Candido criticizes the champion's pin technique. Back on the outside, Paisley gets a shot in on Psychosis before he then gets his head bounced off the steps. The champion stays in control back inside the ring, but the challenger is able to place the artist up on the top rope and he connects with a Frankensteiner for a near fall. After a front suplex, Psychosis signals for the guillotine leg drop, but Paisley causes a distraction. Hoovy then decides to force himself upon her, and that's a fate I wouldn't wish on anyone. But she then absolutely kicks Hoovy's ass, and I say good on her, Juventud deserved it. Despite all the time this has taken, Psychosis is still able to hit his finishing move, but another distraction from Paisley causes him to break his cover. This allows the artist to head to the second rope and connect with his diving DDT for the win. Not a great opener, unfortunately. Half the match was taken up with stalling and distractions, and the actual in-ring work was pretty subpar. Kinda surprising really, seeing as Psychosis usually gets a decent match out of anyone. Either way, the artist retains his title at Uncensored. Backstage, Mean Gene talks to Bam Bigelow wearing a rather dapper Nitro Grill t-shirt. Bigelow says he brought the Wall into this business. Did he? And that he tried to teach him the right way to do things, but now the Wall's crippling people and Bam Bam's going to put a stop to it tonight at Uncensored. Up next, we have the team of Rave and Lane, now known as XS, taking on the Screamin Demons of Norman Smiley and the Demon. Why do they keep making changes to Lenny and Lodi's names? XS are out first, but hold up 1 second, Buster. Here comes Miss Hancock as Tenay exclaims, "That's not the Screamin Demons." Cheers, Mike, we'd be lost without you, mate. Lane and Rave spurned her managerial services for some ungodly reason, and now she's here to provide some commentary. Madden asks her if she'd rather sit on his lap. Sweet suffering Christ. The lads in the ring berate her and say that she isn't even Rizat material, which, to be honest, I would take as a huge compliment, all things considered. The casket rises at the entranceway, but the demon isn't in it. Our boy Norman's all dressed up in his finest Kiss cosplay and, bless his cotton socks, he tries to teach the demon how to wiggle, but Mr. Torborg is far too metal for such frivolity. Honestly, that's the only real highlight of this match, apart from Norman himself, of course. The dude is truly one of the only reasons to watch WCW around this time period. He gets his spank on before connecting with a smiley slam, although his wiggle gets derailed by Mr. Rave. Miss Hancock mentions on commentary that she's now managing the team of Silver King and El Dandy, so the Dandy man really did excite her groin last week on Nitro. Goes to show that being a jam-up guy really does pay off. Oh yeah, we have got a match going on. Demon takes out Excess with a double clothesline that looked like this. Utterly superb all around, chops. Norman runs wild and he finally gets his wiggle on as he gets the win for his team with a Norman conquest. Excess blame Miss Hancock for the loss, and as they try to take her away to the back, Norman and the demon rescue our fair damsel, and Norman finds out what it's like to be on the end of some spankery. I think it's fair to say he's quite the fan. Backstage, Booker and Kidman have a little chat, and Booker says Kidman better have his back tonight. And yeah, what is it with Kidman and tag team partners recently? First Vampy Balls and now Booker. Finally, we get some true star power on this show as David Flair talks to Daphne and Crowbar. Flair Jr. says the Wall's a dangerous man and that Daphne's to stay right here in the back. She of course has no issue with this whatsoever, and this look on her face says to me that she has 100% taken Big Dave's advice on board. Up next, it's Bam Bigelow versus The Wall. The Wall, brother, has been wrecking boys left, right and centre these past few weeks, including David Flair, Crowbar and Bam Bam. So tonight Bigelow's out to put a stop to his reign of terror. Bam Bam goes on the attack before The Wall even makes it to the ring, and the two lads exchange right hands. Bam Bam gets taken down with a clothesline, though Bigelow returns the favour with a clothesline of his own. He then scores with a scoop slam before heading up top and connecting with a flying headbutt for a 2 count. Bam Bam looks for the greetings from Asbury Park, but the Wall counters and he drops Bigelow with a big boot and a high knee. Harley Race, this man is not. Bigelow's able to come back with a swinging DDT, which I wasn't expecting, truth be told, but the two men end up on the outside as they both go over the top rope. They scrap up the entranceway, eventually coming to the WCW.com area where Bam Bam gets chokeslammed through a table. The monitors go up in smoke, and that was pretty much the scene in every household in the year 2000 when you tried to download anything over 100 megabytes. The internet has come a long way, guys, for better or for worse. The bell then rings, presumably for a DQ, but surely then they should have been counted out before this if this was just a regular singles match? Fuck, who cares? David and Crowbar attack the Wall and predictable results ensue as they both get battered. A stretcher gets brought out for Bam Bam as the Wall and Crowbar fight through the entranceway, and we then see Crowbar appear above the entrance stage itself as he and the Wall continue to brawl. The Wall grabs Crowbar around the neck and Mr. Bar gets sent flying, plummeting through the stage below in pretty spectacular fashion. The Wall looks like he thoroughly enjoyed his work as the medical staff deal with Crowbar. A superb bump for sure, so credit where it's due, to Crowbar obviously. The commentary team used their serious voices as Crowbar gets wheeled away and put into the back of an ambulance. And to really underline the seriousness of the situation, here comes Brian Knobbs. The most complete tit says he's dedicating his hardcore title match to Bam Bam and Crowbar, and I'm sure they're very appreciative, mate. That hardcore title match is up next as Brian Knobbs looks to regain his title against 3 Count in a gauntlet match. Knobbs will have to beat all 3 lads individually to get his title back. Brian seems a tad overwhelmed at this prospect and he decides it's not worth it, so he legs it backstage, presumably to go back to his hotel room and cower under the covers. Oh, hang on, it looks like he just had a quick trip to B&Q as he comes back with a wagon full of weapons. Silly me. He empties said wagon by throwing its contents into the ring, and the big idiot's hoisted by his own petard as 3 Count attack him with those same weapons. He's able to take control once the action gets inside the ring via a trash can and a steel chair. 3 Count then all take a trip to Pity City, and Lord only knows what the smell's like. But Shane's protective mask saves him from the stink and he whacks Knobs with a chair shot right to the noggin. The hardcore champions stay in control before setting up a ladder and Shane connects with a splash from the top of it. Sugar Shane Michaels over here. Evan hits a twist and splash from the top of the ladder and Shannon connects with a senton bomb. The lads then want a boogie but Knobs stops it with a fire extinguisher. What a bastard. Shane gets a chair put over his face and Brian hits it with a broom to get the pin. So that's 1 down, 2 to go for Knobs. He sets up a table on the outside and poor Evan gets powerbombed through it from the ring to the floor. That's Evan pinned, so there's only young Shannon left. It's only now that we find out that this match isn't elimination rules, as we have a clusterfuck of a sequence where Brian has Shannon up for a slam, but Shane dropkicks the pair from the top rope. Shannon rolls into a cover, the ref counts to 3, but Brian had his foot on the rope so Nick Patrick waves it off. Yes, a rope break in a hardcore match at Uncensored. Brian eventually wins with a middle rope splash onto Shannon while holding a trash can, and man, as much as I do like 3 counts work, both as wrestlers and boy band heartthrob wannabes, this was absolutely dreadful. Mean Gene's with Harlem Heat 2000, whoopity doo. Stevie says they're going to make short work of Kidman and Booker while Big Titty screams incoherently into the microphone. We see the mystery limo once again before going over to old Vampy Balls, who cuts, without question, one of the worst promos I have ever seen, and it's not so much about what he says, but it's how he says it. He says he feels ashamed of how much he enjoys doing bad things to people, and Finlay's bringing that side of him out, but Vampiro sounds absolutely terrified when cutting this promo. He's meek, he's tripping over his own words. It's just bad, guys, it's really bad. I know he's going for the whole cool, tortured soul vibe, but check it out for yourself and you'll see what I mean. It's like it's day 1 of promo class and he feels embarrassed to talk in front of strangers. Speaking of really bad, Harlem Heat 2000 are up next as they take on the team of Booker and Kidman. There's been a little friction between Booker and Billy over the past few weeks, so let's see how this plays out tonight. The whole Harlem Heat crew are here as Cash accompanies Stevie in titties. Jay Biggs heads to the commentary table to spit some knowledge on unsuspecting viewers at home. Stevie and Booker start things off with Book connecting with a Harlem sidekick, or I guess it's just a normal sidekick now, and a back elbow before Kidman gets tagged in. Billy doesn't fare overly well as he gets slammed by Stevie before Big T comes in. Kidman is able to use his quickness though to deliver a dropkick before Booker comes in. Sidekicks for everyone as both of Harlem Heat 2000 go down before Cash tries to get involved, but he falls victim to an axe kick as he tries to get in the ring. Booker's on a roll, but that momentum comes to an end when Kidman comes in and he gets taken down by Stevie. Some double teamwork keeps Harlem Heat in control as Cash also gets involved by choking Billy from the outside. Big T makes his way into the crowd as Cash holds on to Billy, and like a train in the night, here comes Big T. And well, that went about as well as we could have expected, really. Billy continues to get wrecked for the next few minutes, but he is able to put Stevie down to the mat with a tornado bulldog before making the tag. Booker's like a house on fire as he connects with a book end to both Big T and Stevie, but a double spinebuster takes the heat out of Booker. Billy breaks up the cover, showing that he does have Booker's back after all, and the two work together to pick up the win as Booker scores with a sidekick into a roll-up by Kidman. Again, another nothing match on this card. Booker and Billy are fantastic, but even they couldn't do anything to elevate this bout. Up next, it's a Falls Count Anywhere match as Fit Finlay takes on Vampiro. Finlay's made it his mission to teach Vampiro some respect, for some reason, and so he plans on doing that tonight at the pay-per-view. It's like Finlay's acting as Vampiro's disappointed dad. As Finlay makes his entrance, Mike Tenay informs us that Bam Bigelow and Crowbar both sustained concussions, with Crowbar also cracking several ribs and having severe bruising on his hip. So at least they are selling the severity of the spot, which also puts the wall over as this unstoppable monster, no matter how bland he really is. Vampy Balls gets battered in the early going, but he's able to turn it around with a spin kick before hitting another one, this time from the top rope. Vamp's able to stay in control with chops and a headbutt, but Finlay gets a boot up in the corner and Vamp hits the canvas after going head first into the top turnbuckle. My Nordy comrade scores with the Finlay roll before going to the outside and grabbing a lovely padded chair from ringside. He lays it across Vampiro's face before climbing the ropes, but referee Charles Robinson decides to take the chair away. In a Falls Count Anywhere match, you know what, it doesn't matter. Vamp kicks the chair back in Finlay's face before the two men make their way to the outside. Vic goes face first into the announce table, but he's able to drop Vamp across the guardrail. The lads then take the fight into the crowd, the highlight of which was seeing this classic Inter Milan jersey. Ronaldo, Zanetti, Vieri. Oh man, what a team. Oh yeah, the match. The lads fight up the stairs into the concourse area before making their way into the men's bathroom where the fight continues. Just because you call yourself Vampiro doesn't mean you can fly, as Vamp finds out when he jumps right into a bin thrown by Finlay. What a shit vampire. They leave the bathroom into what seems to be Abby's flashback scenes from the hospital in The Last of Us Part 2. Here's hoping no spooky monsters show up. Seriously though, what is the story with the lighting here? All the lads can do is throw crappy punches among all these people who are desperate to get on TV, so there's no room to actually do anything of note, and you can't see anything either. They make their way outside the arena, and we nearly have a Halloween Havoc 95 moment as Finlay tries to throw Vampiro off the balcony, but he's unsuccessful and the two continue brawling through the concourse. It's legitimately so hard to see what's going on here with the horrible lighting and the massive people, but we do eventually see Vampiro hitting the nail in the coffin on the floor for the win. 8.5 minutes of walking brawl was always going to be shit, and indeed it proved to be just that. So far, the opening match has been the best of the night, and it wasn't exactly top tier stuff either. For the love of God, the Harris brothers are in action next as they take on the Mamalukes for the tag team titles. Mean Gene asks the champions their thoughts, and Disco says his boys are going to beat some respect out of Ron and Don tonight. Vito runs through the match stipulations, no holds barred yet again, and Johnny says they're going to break the Harris boys' thumbs. Please do, big man. The NWO theme hits and out walk the Harris boys. Still cannot for the life of me figure out how these guys kept a job for as long as they did. On the other hand, I do find the Mamalukes to be entertaining, so I might enjoy at least half of this match. Actually, scratch that, because Disco Inferno has now decided to jump on commentary, giving us the 4th guest announcer on this show already. Vito gives the champions the early advantage with a punch to the throat, sending Ronald or Donald out to the floor to regroup. Time for the partners to get involved. Johnny scores with a power slam before bringing Vito back in, and the champs connect with their big boot and neckbreaker combo for a near fall. A low blow puts Vito down, and Biker Michael Liker number 2 then hits a back elbow, but it's not enough to keep Big Vito down. The wise guy comes back with a Japanese arm drag and a body slam. The champs then hit their double powerbomb, but a distraction from player 1 Harris Brother allows player 2 Harris Brother to drop Johnny with a clothesline. The Bull continues to get worked over as the challengers cut the ring off, but a double clothesline leads to both legal men going down. Johnny's able to tag out, and Big Vito lays out the challengers with some mafia kicks before delivering some mounted punches. Vito heads up for a top rope elbow, which only gets him a 2, but the champions then connect with a heart attack that also fails to get the victory. The Harris brothers deliver some tag team offense of their own with a double flapjack, and again, only a 2. After a double spinebuster from the Harris lads, Disco gets in the ring with one of the tag team belts, and he whacks Ron or Don with it. Still isn't enough to win the match though. Vito looks for his Impaler DDT, but he finds himself getting bopped with the tag team belt this time, and the Harris brothers get the win following the H-bomb. We have new tag team champions here at Uncensored, and aren't you just as happy as I am about who they are? Like I said, I really like the Mamalukes. They're very entertaining and they do make the most of their minutes. So why WCW decided to put the belts on these big bald idiots again, I have no idea. Yes, NWO and all that, but that's already dead in the water, so there's literally no point. Finlay says that he wanted to beat some respect in the Vampiro tonight, and he has no problem saying that the better man won. Vampiro has indeed earned Finlay's respect, and I'm sure you're all delighted to hear it. Yet more interviews as Mean Gene joins Team Package backstage. Luger called Sting a coward, and he says he's going to beat the Stinger's brains in just because he's the total package and because he can. David Flair's dad then says Hulk Hogan's going to bleed all night long before screaming Team Package like an absolute lunatic. We go from one madman to another as Terry Funk's in action next against Dustin Rhodes in a bull rope match. Dustin says this is going to be Terry's retirement match. The naivety. And that Terry will look up to him with blood all over his face and say yes, he just bit the dust. Not the best catchphrase if I'm honest, mate, but I do see what you did there. Dustin's out first holding the bull rope, whereas Terry comes out fisting a chicken with the word Dusty written on it. Only on pay-per-view, folks. Terry says he sees a chicken in the ring, and the only difference between Dustin and his old man is that Dusty is much fatter than Dustin. Yeah, whatever, but that's a raw chicken, dude. Someone get this man some hand sanitizer or something. That's gross. Terry then says he has a special guest tonight, Dustin's little brother. And there he is, young Cody Rhodes himself. Clucky Rhodes? It's some jabroni in a chicken suit. Dustin chases his baby bro around the ring, but he gets clobbered by Terry and his chicken. The match is on, and I can't believe I was looking forward to this one a few weeks ago. Dustin gets sent into the guardrail a few times before Terry brings him into the ring. Rhodes then gets whipped with the bull rope. Some mounted punches in the corner from the Funker gets followed up with a DDT, but no sign of the lads getting attached to the bull rope as per the stipulation of the match. Dustin gets whacked with the cowbell, but he gets his hand on the rope to break the count. In a bull rope match, for fuck's sake. Terry also finds this strange and he questions the referee, allowing Dustin to hit a low blow. Dustin wraps the rope around Terry's neck and he throws him to the mat. That didn't look too pretty, did it? Terry gets caught up in the ropes and Dustin hits him repeatedly with the cowbell before Funk finally falls to the outside. Dustin gets in a few shots on the floor before the two men get back in the ring, and Dustin finally attaches the bull rope to both men's wrists. A DDT from the American Nightmare gets a 2, as does a bulldog onto the cowbell from Dustin. Oh, here comes the chicken back in to distract Dustin, but he doesn't last too long after getting whacked with the cowbell. Dustin gets his golden globe smashed on the top rope as Terry takes control. He then grabs a mic and he declares that this is now an I Quit match, and when the referee says no, he gets bonked with the cowbell and sent to the outside. Terry then whacks Dustin in the head repeatedly with the cowbell, and Dustin verbally says that he quits. But the referee tells Terry that this isn't an I Quit match, and this distraction allows Dustin to crack Terry over the head once again with the cowbell. Dustin then connects with a piledriver, and this gets the win for the American Nightmare. The two continue to fight after the bell, but what an absolute clusterfuck of a match. Or a cluster cluck, I guess, sorry. Why you'd have a bull rope match on the same card as a strap match, I don't know. But to not even adhere to the match stipulation until halfway through the bout, before changing the stipulation during the bout, it just makes for a total mess of a match, and I've absolutely no idea what they were thinking here. The action wasn't even good either, just two lads hitting each other with a cowbell. I've seen people saying that I've been too negative about WCW recently, but I challenge you to find me any redeeming qualities that this show has had so far. Mean Gene's with the WCW World Champion, and Big Sid says this isn't the first time he's dealt with Jarrett and his shenanigans, so he isn't going to worry about what Double J has in store for him tonight at Uncensored. Sting makes his in-ring return to pay-per-view next as he takes on the Total Package in a Lumberjack match. All our Lumberjacks have had their arm broken by Luger. WCW couldn't decide if it were arms that were being broken or wrists, so we'll just stick with arms. We have Jimmy Hart, Doug Dillinger, Kurt Hennig, Fit Finlay, Brian Knobbs and Vampiro, all wearing casts and surrounding the ring. The Total Package looks a bit tentative as both he and Liz make their way down the ramp. He goes through his usual routine before grabbing a microphone, and Lex says he wants to apologise to everyone around ringside for what he did, all whilst keeping his head on a swivel to make sure he doesn't get jumped by any of them. Lex then says he's the most intelligent wrestler in the world, which of course is very true. So he's recruited his own Lumberjacks who all come down to the ring with casts on despite their arms not being broken. We have Hugh Morris, Harlem Heat 2000 and the Harris Brothers backing up the Total Package here in this match. Sting comes out and the fans are happy to see him, the first they have really made any noise so far this evening. Luger goes on the attack before the Stinger can even get inside the ropes, but Sting's able to fight back and he lays in a few kicks in the corner before knocking Luger down with a big right hand. Lex rolls to the floor for a breather and his Lumberjacks allow Luger to compose himself on the outside. Sting stays in control back inside the ring with an atomic drop and a scoop slam before connecting with an elbow drop. The Icon then decides to throw Luger to the floor on the other side, and his Lumberjacks proceed to lay the boots into the total package. Lex begs off once he gets back in the ring, but he suckers Sting in. The Icon gets sent to the outside, and now it's his turn to get mauled by Lex's Lumberjacks. While all this is going on, Tank Abbott makes his way down the ringside, and immediately he sparks out Big Doug Dillinger. Maybe Tank isn't so bad after all. Tank then saunters away, and the Lumberjacks fight amongst themselves as they too make their way back up the entranceway. So now we just have a standard one-on-one match. In the midst of all this, Lex has a devastating chinlock applied, so surely this match is going to be over any second now. But wait up, I may have spoken too soon. Is Vampiro still hanging around ringside? And now here comes Ric Flair with a Ric chair. Incredibly, Sting fights out of the most devastating move in all of pro wrestling, and he takes Luger down with a bulldog, all while Flair and Vampiro scrap on the outside. Flair then gets in the ring and he lays in a few chops, but Sting fires up and he delivers a stinger splash to the Nature Boy before the total package suffers the same fate. Before Sting can capitalise, Liz attacks him with the bat from the outside. Vampiro takes the bat away from Liz, and Jimmy Hart takes her away back up the ramp. Lex then calls for the torture rack. He puts Sting in his finishing hold, but Vampiro comes in the ring to whack Luger with the bat, allowing Sting to score with a Scorpion Death Drop for the pin and the win. After the match, Sting and Vampiro embrace, and it looks like we may have a new alliance between these two. The fans do like seeing these guys join forces, so WCW might be onto something here. Backstage, Mean Gene asks Tank Abbott why he felt compelled to take out Doug Dillinger, and Tank tells him that Doug was out there as a participant, taking a spot and a payday that could have gone to him. To be fair, mate, I think old Doug was only getting paid with a tenner and a ham sandwich, so I wouldn't be too worried about it. Jeff Jarrett gets another shot at the WCW World title as he takes on Sid Vicious. Before we get to the match though, we cut back to the limo and we're finally going to see who's in... or maybe not. Yeah, we cut to Jarrett before we see who the mystery person is. Tenay then informs us that there's been a change to the format, and the world title match, which was supposed to be the main event of the show, is happening right now. So something fishy's going on, guys. I don't like it. Michael Buffer earns his perfectly reasonable paycheck by introducing our participants. US champion Jeff Jarrett's out first along with the NWO girls. He grabs a microphone and he says it's finally time for the chosen one to realise his destiny and walk out of Miami as the new WCW World Heavyweight Champion. He says when he brings home the gold, the ladies will show some skin, so I imagine the crowd are now pulling for Double J. Poor choice of words, but let's move on. The world champ makes his way down to the ring, and yeah, Sid still looks pretty damn awesome. Jarrett tries to get the jump on the big man at the bell, but Sid sees him coming and Jarrett gets put on the back foot in the early going. Sid scores with some mounted punches in the corner before going for the chokeslam, but Jeff escapes with a thumb to the eye. Doesn't stop him being sent over the top rope though, and the challenger gets dropped on the announce table before getting sent into the crowd. Looks like the WWF weren't the only ones doing crowd brawls in their main events. Sid keeps control in this environment as both men find themselves near the entranceway. Jarrett gets sent into the guardrail, but here comes the Harris brothers for the third time tonight, and they're going to attack Big Sid. They double team the world champ inside the ring while Jarrett distracts the referee. Double J now takes control of the match with a barrage of right hands before popping on a sleeper. The hold stays locked in for a nice age as Sid drops to his knees. He eventually gets back to his feet and he fights out, but a boot to the face stops his momentum. Double J makes a mistake though as Sid counters an axe handle attempt with a low blow right to the slop nuts. Jarrett goes down after a big boot, but he gets distracted by one of the Harris brothers, and some heel buffoonery occurs as the challenger gets accidentally bopped with the world title belt from the second Harris brother. This only gets Sid a 2 count. The champ looks for a chokeslam again, but a low blow from Jarrett stops him in his tracks, and when Patrick tries to get the lads out of the corner, he gets hit with Jarrett's elbow. The referee's down as Jarrett grabs the acoustic equalizer and Sid gets whacked. Jeff signals to the back and here comes Slick Johnson, the bastard. He makes the count, but before he can hit the mat for a third time, Hulk Hogan pulls him out of the ring. Slick gets dropped and Hogan then goes after the NWO lads, culminating in a big boot and the big leg to Jarrett. He pulls Sid on top of Jeff, Nick Patrick makes the count, and Sid Vicious retains his world title. Way to make your world champion look strong here, boys. So yeah, good guy Hulk Hogan kills the baddies and all's right with the world. Until here comes Big Papa Pump Scotty Steiner with a guitar, and he lays Hogan out with a shot across the back. Looks like we now know who was in the limo. A bit late though, Scotty boy. Could have done with you about 2 minutes ago. Scott just ups and leaves with the world title belt while Sid wrecks the Harris boys. And before you can say jealous old bastard, here comes Ric Flair down to the ring, so our main event strap match is on. Let's get into the proper position for the strapation, dudes. The commentary team tell us that to win this match, one of the competitors has to touch all 4 corners in succession. Standard strap match rules, but just keep that in the back of your mind, yeah? Flair gets the whip and Hogan as Strapmaster Jimmy Hart makes his way down with Hogan's weight belt. The fight goes to the outside where Hogan chokes Flair with the strap before laying in some right hands. Flair begs off, but Hogan keeps the attack going by bouncing the Nature Boy off the guardrail. Back in the ring, Hogan once again chokes Flair with the strap before whipping him with it. A clothesline in the corner drops Flair, but a thumb to the eye puts Rick back on top. A few kicks to the ribs from Flair leads to more whips and more chokes, but a low blow puts Nate back down as Hogan grabs his weight belt. He lays in a few shots before taking Flair down with a clothesline while using the belt, and we go right back to more choking and more whipping. Back on the outside, there's yet more punches before they head back inside for, wait for it, some more punches. Though this time they're in the corner, we've got a modifier, ladies and gents. Flair's been busted open as he gets dropped with a right hand, but another thumb to the eye allows Rick to head up top, and well, you know how this goes. To the outside we go once again, and now the Strapmaster gets to lay in a few shots to slick Rick. Hogan and Flair then exchange shots on the outside as Flair makes his way back up the ramp to escape. He begs off for like the 5th time in this match, and predictably Hogan goes on the attack. But, oh no, it was a ploy, a plot, a swerve, a setup as Lex Luger comes out to gingerly bop Hogan on the head with a chair. Must have been harder than I thought though, as Hogan gets busted open and Flair looks to open the cut up more with right hands. Flair then drags Hogan back to ringside and throws him into the guardrail before delivering another low blow. Back in the ring, Flair chokes Hogan once again. Jimmy Hart comes in to put a stop to it, but Jimmy gets smacked in the mouth for his troubles. At long last, we get to see someone trying to end this debacle as Flair looks to touch the 4 turnbuckles. He gets the 3, he can't get to the last one, so he pulls out some brass knucks that don't look like brass knucks, but we'll call them brass knucks anyway, and Hogan gets clobbered. Flair then goes for a pin, and even the commentators are baffled by this, but Hogan kicks out and he starts to Hulk up, brother. Hogan punches, Hogan boot, but no Hogan leg as he begins dragging Flair to all 4 corners. He gets the 3, but here comes Luger, who immediately gets taken out with a big boot. Hogan then drops the leg on Flair and makes the cover. The referee counts to 3, the bell rings, and Hogan then decides to touch the final turnbuckle. So I guess Hogan had to win twice just because he's Hulk Hogan. Where do you even begin with this? The in-ring action was garbage, the adherence to the stipulation was non-existent, the finish was confusing and generally it made no fucking sense. To hell with this match. Whatever or whoever Yapapi is must be turning in its grave, if it's even dead. Hogan and Jimmy celebrate in the ring as Uncensored 2000 mercifully fades to black. I mentioned earlier that a lot of people have said that I'm far too negative towards WCW nowadays, but I implore you, actually go back and watch this pay-per-view and tell me with a straight face what positives were there to be found on this show. I have always said that I'll give my honest opinions on both companies, and while yes, it's only one guy's opinion that you don't have to agree with, it cannot be denied that both Super Brawl and Uncensored were nothing short of appalling. There is absolutely no reason for anyone to revisit these shows, Uncensored especially, and if you're really wanting to see Hogan vs Flair, you can do a lot better than this main event. That well has now officially dried up. No more calling on these two for a quick and easy buy rate because Uncensored was the least watched WCW pay-per-view since Battle Bowl back in 1993. When the best you have to offer are a subpar cruiserweight title match and a below average tag match the two great talents in Booker and Billy Kidman couldn't save, then that just about says it all. Constant interference, baffling booking decisions, and lackluster in-ring action. That's what sums up Uncensored 2000. All we can do now is wait and see what the fallout of this absolute train wreck's going to be on the next episode of Reliving the War. Thank you all so much for suffering through this with me, you absolute heroes, and please take care.